How much love do the markets have for precious metal companies? Kai Hoffmann watches the financial flows. He is CEO of Soar Financial. Kai, welcome back to Kitco.
Good to see you again, Michael. Thanks for having me back on.
Kai, let's start with precious metals first. Gold miners have been making moves. The GDX and index of gold companies is up 16% this month, but the index is still a ways off its 52-week highs.
Oh, it's far away from its 52-week highs. Very, very surprising, to be quite honest, because gold is back at that level from 52 weeks ago, which was April 2022. But the miners and the juniors especially have not caught up. Yes, 16% sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But if you look where we're coming from, it's actually not that much. Year to date, it's only 11%. So we're actually tracking or we're tracking the gold price performance quite well, but the performance of gold itself has been really, really volatile, meaning it's dropped too fast and then risen too fast. So investors haven't really caught up yet. And funny enough, like the gold price move hasn't really been pushed by any ETF buying or so as well. So there's actually some money still sitting on the sidelines that was pulled out as late as February. We're recording this early April, I believe, and I haven't seen the ETF holding numbers yet for March, so I'm curious to see those when they come out. I'm assuming, and my gut feeling tells me that there has been some buying in the ETFs and the ETCs, but it hasn't been a broad market move, and had a lot of safe haven buying in gold. We will see where it goes. Gold is holding up strong. The US dollar is dropping a little bit based on some geopolitical events, and that's what's sort of revaluing the gold price, and that's what we're monitoring here.
The sentiment I'm sounding there right now from you, Kai, is surprise. It sounds like you think that gold is in better footing than what is actually being reflected in the market.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag of cats in terms of feelings and sentiment as well, because gold is doing fine, but it doesn't feel like investors are participating on a broad spectrum yet. On the junior side, I'd almost say that we don't trust the cooking yet in the broad markets, and we're still waiting to see or waiting for a trigger in the juniors, especially. The miners should have some really decent Q1 numbers coming out here fairly soon. Oil has dropped, so energy costs are down, so all-in sustaining costs should be quite positive, especially the cost of goods sold, meaning achieved ounce or achieved dollars per ounce sold, should be fairly high. I'm expecting higher 1880s actually, so that should be really, really positive, meaning we might have some balance sheet surprises, which could wake up generalist investors here again. Of course, it doesn't help when companies like Newmont or so cut their dividend before these quarters come out or financials come out, and we'll have to see what the market sort of reacts to those. But I'm guessing it will be positive, and that could be a potential trigger for investors to understand. Okay, there's money to be made in our sector right now because the valuations, especially in the juniors, are extremely low.
Just to add to that, the first quarterly's Q1 should be dropping at the end of this month. That's going to be looking at how these senior gold miners have been doing with, I'd say that prices have been well into the 1900s for a lot of this quarter. Kai, I want to talk about a tweet that you did about the Montage deal. Now, you are a client of Montage, but it was interesting what you added. You said that more shareholder-friendly deals I have seen out there in recent months. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's been a bought deal. It was a $15 million bought deal, and dilution was in check. No warrant was issued with that, meaning dilution was only about 15%. The discount was only 2%, meaning it was an extremely strong financing. The market just didn't get it for some reason, and by that I mean the stock sold off 12% when that financing was announced. Nobody ever likes dilution, but then in the end, if you want to add ounces, you need to drill and you need to spend, and that's what they're doing. They added some high grade ounces to the project and to the overall Koenig Gold Project economics, and we'll see a feasibility study update come out probably later this year that will highlight that, and I think the market will understand it then. I think we've recovered since. We're back at the bought deal price, but by shareholder friendly, I mean minimum dilution, minimum discount, and no warrants. That's extremely shareholder friendly because it keeps dilution in check and leaves a lot of upside for investors on the table there.
Well, were you framing it against some of the larger M&A deals that we've seen into 2023, Kai? Because, talking to David Earthley, for instance, there's been a little bit of disappointment that have been some of the larger deals in the gold space.
Yeah, absolutely. The Newmont Newcrest transaction. I don't think haven't heard anything definitive on it yet. As far as I know, it's actually off the table because Newcrest said no, we're not doing it. But I've yet to hear a final no from Newmont saying we're pulling back our offer. If we were to see a deal like that, that would also be a potential trigger in the markets and for the juniors because $17 billion would need to be reallocated. Maybe smart money might actually leave the sector and just buy some dividend stocks, right? I'm sure somebody will make some coin there, but some of the other money will be reallocated to the other large cap miners and to potentially mid tier or smaller mining companies. That would be really really healthy for the sector. And if somebody sits on a big win there at Newcrest, they might gamble a little bit and put some more money in the juniors, and that would be a good awakening sign for the sector and something the market desperately actually needs. We've seen that back in I think it was in 2019 when Eric Sprott opened his wallet and started dropping money on the market. All of a sudden, there was a bit of euphoria. There was money. You can't do that when you just made $1 billion, right? But that's sort of what we'd be looking for again.
Let's just stay a little bit more with precious metals before we go over to base metals, because there's been a bit of a development there this week. Are you seeing differences in financing between stages of companies, explorers versus development companies, and maybe also geographically in first-tier mining jurisdictions?
Absolutely. We're still in a phase where the developers raise all the cash, or the miners. The juniors and grassroots explorers are still struggling, meaning they can raise maybe $2-3 million, but that's usually it. We talked about Montage, good example. They're a late stage explorer, early stage developer, depending on how you want to look at it, and they're raising money. Companies like a Montage, there are others out there as well. And I've said it in another interview before. Currently we're in a time where it's either go big or go home. We've seen Fireweed Zinc raise $40 million, sorry, 27 to $30 million recently, but Faraday Copper raised a lot of money as well. Those are companies that have quality management teams, and they have a potential out or exit, and they're creating value with that money. Investors understand where their dollars will be taking them, and those deals are getting financed. Earlier grassroots explorers that might have targets but don't know what they might come up with are having a harder time right now. And raising up to $2 million, a lot of financings recently. I think 63% of the financings overall that was in earlier March when we looked at it were below $2 million. And that doesn't create a lot of value. And that's what the sector is struggling with. A lot of money that is just being thrown out the window to a degree. Some work is being done, but nothing that really moves the needle. And those bigger financings can definitely do that.
More heat in the base metal space, and that phrase that we've heard, critical metals space, Kai?
Absolutely. We've just seen this morning Glencore make a bid here for tech. It's really, really interesting what's going on there. It depends on how you want to look at it. It might be an attack on their coal division as well before they spin it out, or they want to add the copper assets as well. And looking at it, they might become the third largest copper miner. So there's lots of interest in the base metals, and Glencore is no dummy for sure, because they trade those metals on a daily basis. They know where the interest is coming from and what the interest will be in a few months' time, or actually in a few years' time as well. And they're trying to secure supply. No wonder that Tesla actually tried to invest into Glencore not too long ago either, if you want to believe the newspaper articles from the Financial Times, I think, back in the day. That just tells you that base metals, copper in particular, are in much, much need. Nickel, probably a close second there.
It kind of is an interesting point that Clive Johnson made, Beta Gold, in his interview with Paul Harris at PDAC. He was also talking about the fact that you have a lot of new mining CEOs. So rather, he was talking about the gold sector, but he's talking about a lot of new mining CEOs in the space. Tech has got a relatively new CEO, so that also creates, how would you say, fresh looks. Also, that Tech was also kind of in the throes of actually getting its copper project up. So I guess Glencore looked at it as an opportunity for them to look in. Are there any ideas out there that might work for investors right now? Or is there any storylines that you're looking for, Kai?
There are quite a few things I'm looking at right now, because we have the advantage that things are still very cheap. The market hasn't really run away from us, so we can play a couple themes here. And one thing is the area plays. we can look at, okay, who's successful, who needs additional mill feed. That's one thing, but also consolidation plays. Hearing from majors that they want to buy bigger assets, they're done buying smaller 1 million ounce deposits, and those consolidation plays we've seen happen once. Just recently, it was Integra and Millennial going together, and they have a proper development plan at their hand, and Wheaton Precious Metals seems to be willing to finance it for now. So that means that's what the big companies are looking for. They can't really finance those 10 million financings anymore, or deals, because it doesn't really take them anywhere. It doesn't move the needles for the majors anymore. If you look at what Barrick and others need to replace just to keep their resource level at steady levels, the juniors don't move the needle for them, so they need to consolidate, and it makes a lot of sense. I've been hearing that from numerous camps, so that's a theme I'm playing. What makes sense, and what companies should consolidate. So you can have some upside there, because 1 + 1 can equal 3. Consolidation also on the management level, not just project level, I think makes sense, because then you can combine a couple management teams and maybe keep the best of both worlds. Some smart area place I mentioned before, so that's something where you could, like, I'm looking around the area around Ascot mining or so. That would make a lot of sense. Can they add some higher grade mill feed, for example? Those areas I would look at and to see what there is to be gained.
Ascot obviously up in the Golden Triangle, which has been very active
Right.
with what's happening with Newmont and Newcrest, if they actually come together. Newcrest being people that own some operations, 2 operations up in the area. Kai, you're going to have a show coming up. What's Deutsche Goldmesse?
Oh yeah, really looking forward to this event, May 5th and 6th back in Frankfurt. Fantastic lineup of keynote speakers again. We have Alistair McLeod from Gold Money. We have Egon von Greyerz from Matterhorn Investment coming out, just to name a couple. And fantastic roster of companies, close to 30 companies right now, from Victoria Gold, Western Copper and Gold. For some reason, I'm mentioning the Yukon companies here, but I personally love the Yukon. Big fan. But whole roster, you can go look it up on the website. It's free to attend for investors. Can't wait to host you again in Frankfurt, Michael, as well. It's always a good time. Usually very productive as well. A couple of days that I'll be completely exhausted afterwards, because lots to do, lots of information, and it's, as I said, free to attend for investors. Just sign up on our website.
Say the website again, please, for getting
Yeah,
information, Kai.
I'll say it properly: www.deutschegoldmesse.com. So
Got it.
we might have to put that in the description below. That'd be highly
Okay.
appreciated.
Will do indeed. Okay. Kai, always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much, Michael.
My name's Michael McCrae, and you're watching Kitco Mining.